Hey guys, long time no see, it's Joshua, and today I wanted to talk about coming to America, or coming to America, because you know they have to have clever titles now. Guess it sounds better than Coming to America too, I guess, whatever. So yes, this is the sequel to the 1988 classic Coming to America, starring Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall. And in this movie, a lot of the original cast came back. I actually really did appreciate that. It brings some kind of authenticity to it that a lot of films that make sequels only like 2 years later sometimes don't have, because sometimes they recast. But yes, this movie is a sequel to that movie, and it takes place 30 years later, naturally, because it's 30 years later. And we're reintroduced to Prince Hakeem, played by Eddie Murphy, and instead of being a prince, he is now being crowned king. He is stepping up to that plate. But unfortunately for him, as said by his dying father, he has yet to produce a male heir. He has all daughters, which leaves him vulnerable to assassinations and stuff like that by a rival general played by Wesley Snipes in the next country over. But lucky for him, it turns out that while he was in America, he made an illegitimate child or something like that, and now he's gonna go back to America, bring his newly found son back, and hopefully train him up to be a prince that can one day take over for him. Now, it's actually been a very long time since I've watched Coming to America. I remember bits and pieces of it. I remember enjoying myself. You know, I watched it as a kid, funny enough, which I'm pretty sure Coming to America was not made for kids. But it's a classic movie, and I went back and I watched clips from it, and I remember it's still as good as, you know, I felt then. But I think one of the benefits of me not immediately watching the previous movie before watching this movie is that I didn't automatically pick up all the nostalgic, hey, reference moments that they did in this movie, which I like that experience, maybe because I get to see it as someone who's just watching a film for the first time, even though I could kind of pick up at times that when they're referencing back to the original movie. So with that being said, as just a comedy, and I guess as a sequel from what I remember from Coming to America, it's not great at all. There's some funny bits. There are some clever moments and clever punchlines in here. The characters that Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, they pick up from the previous movie, and some new ones here, their bits are funny. The barbershop guys, they are pretty funny. They remind me so much of these old head barbershop owners that I've experienced in my life as well. And they just have a certain funny and wit to them that just makes them so enjoyable.
Come up in here.
Hey, escuta quem tem a Nibola.
Famine and Blood Diamond.
Nelson Mandela and Winnie.
And then Arsenio Hall, he has his witch doctor character. I think it's a new addition. That character is pretty funny too. Honestly, the standout performance though in this movie is Wesley Snipes. He plays the general / dictator of the next country over called Nextdoria, which is it's a clever name for a made-up country, I guess, if you just want to establish it's the country next door. He's the one that's pretty much going to kill Prince Hakeem if he doesn't get a male heir, because he's kind of salty towards Prince Hakeem, because apparently it was his sister from the first movie that Prince Hakeem rejected and left barking like a dog.
Are you saying that no matter what I tell you to do, you will do?
Yes, Your Highness.
Anything I say, you do?
Yes, Your Highness.
Bark like a dog.
But everything with Wesley Snipes is funny. Even when you go visit Nextdoria, which you don't get much of, unfortunately, I even found just watching his men do their thing just hilarious. Unfortunately, everything else kind of fell flat for me. I think I might get into some spoilers here because the movie's been out. It's on Amazon Prime. I'm just gonna say, if you have Amazon Prime, check it out. It's free. If not, this is not gonna make you want to pay for Amazon Prime. But my issues with the movie is that it's not clever enough as the first one was. With what I remember, it's not really clever. It states its jokes. Like, it just states its jokes. That's the joke, is that they say the thing that they're joking about. While with the first one, it's very much like implied humor. Like, you see the joke there. The fact that the scenario's happening is the joke.
Remember, Simi, no one here can know I am royalty. You must appear to be no different than the average man.
I will not say a word.
British Airways Flight 929
But in here, they go out of their way to tell you, hey, this is what's ironic about this scene. Like in this movie, the thing they deal with a lot is the idea of men versus women, essentially. Why men seem to have all the privileges in this country while women don't seem to have it. Again, kind of like the first movie, they're tackling an issue about traditions. And the first movie was about arranged marriages and how it's kind of messed up because you don't get to pick the person you're gonna spend the rest of your life with. Here they're talking about the traditions of who inherits what and all that, and it brings up conflict with Akeem's oldest daughter feeling like she deserves it while he's going to bring in this son that had nothing to do with this country beforehand to inherit the throne that she believes belongs to her and all that stuff. So the movie focuses a lot on that, but also gets bogged down by it trying to touch on that message of, you know, how women are treated and all that stuff. Like every other moment they have, especially with any of the female characters, they go out of their way to state, hey, this thing is sexist. That's the joke. Like, that's it. Like, they bring back the super sexist kind of like, you know, sensational preacher man from the first one. And the whole joke was that, hey, he's over this preacher guy, but obviously he's doing this to pick up chicks and get money.
Turn around, ladies, for me, please. You know there's a God who sits on high and looks down low. Man cannot make it like this. Mary Flint, Hugh Hefner, they can take the picture, but they can't make it. Only God above, the Hugh Hefner on high, can make it for you.
Like, that was the whole joke. But they didn't go out of the way to tell you the joke then. It was implied. But here, they literally have an actor go and says, ah, yes, we're getting married in front of this sexist preacher man. Like, that's not funny, you're just stating the obvious. And then they kind of try to do some slapstick stuff too, like low-brow humor. Like they have this scene where there's a lion and it's supposed to be super tense, you don't know what's gonna happen, and it just regresses to a fart joke. Which, believe me, fart jokes can be funny. I'm not opposed to fart jokes. I know that there's been a time in which a fart joke has been done effectively and it worked. This was not one of them. And then the actual characters, the newer ones, they don't really pull you in. And you spend a lot of time with these new characters, more than you do with Akeem most of the time. That being his son and his son's mother. His son's mother especially is just annoying. Leslie Jones plays the baby mama, and her character, there were so many times where I just wanted her to die. And that sounds wrong, but she's not just annoying, but she's just so flat down disrespectful. Like there's this scene where she pops out and she's wearing the queen's dress. She just took it without asking. But instead of like apologizing or even playing it off in a funny way, she just starts talking crap to the queen in front of her and her kids. And you would think, well, you know, it's not the point that you're supposed to, you know, think everything she does right. She's supposed to be funny. Is she funny? No, not really. Leslie Jones does her little kind of shtick that she does where she's just very loud and very ghetto, I guess. I'm not saying ghetto in a well, I guess I kind of am. But what I mean is that she just does the same thing over and over again. Same thing you saw in the Ghostbusters remake, same thing you see her do on SNL. That's what she does here, and it doesn't land. The son character also kind of gets my nerves sometimes. Towards the end, he got a little better for me, but nothing endeared him to me the same way I was endeared to Akeem in the first one, which I think was kind of the point they were trying to do. They're trying to make you endeared to him because they try to parallel him and Akeem's, you know, stories. You know, they're around the same age now, and Akeem, you know, he's kind of lost his way. That's the thing they try to do. Like instead of being against tradition, now he's more for it by trying to pull his son in to inherit the throne instead of his daughter, who's been training her whole life for it. But they never really give you a natural progression or reasoning for why Akeem suddenly shifted toward this way. And honestly, it doesn't really make any sense because we're told that women, they're not allowed to own businesses or anything in this country apparently, which doesn't make sense because Akeem's wife, Lisa, from the first movie, she's from America. She's from Queens. And she's been in this country for 30 years. I understand she's technically the princess before Akeem became king, so now she's queen. But you would think this entire 30-year stretch, she would have been complaining or, feeding stuff to Akeem about, hey, maybe we should fix some of this women's rights stuff here. Just keep that in mind for when you become king. That should be on the list numero uno, right? We're gonna do something about that. But not once is it even referenced. They could have even had her say like, hey, I've been talking to you about this stuff for years, and something like that. But they never really showed that she seemed to even care about this. She's just been living it up, the life of being a queen. The whole plot about Akeem having a long lost son, I don't like how they explained it away, because if you remember from, Coming to America, Akeem, he wasn't about sleeping around and all that stuff. He was a prince, he could have had anybody he wanted, but he wanted somebody that he legitimately loved. That was the whole thing. So when he came to America and he was looking at all these women, he didn't want the easy ones. He didn't want anything like that. Arsenio Hall's character did. He was down for it, but not Prince Akeem. So it really didn't make sense that he had a son that he didn't know about. As far as he was concerned, Lisa was the only woman he ever slept with. So they explain it away by recreating the club scene from the first movie.
I've got a secret. I worship the devil.
I hope you don't mind me coming over and sitting down. But I've been watching you all evening, and I want to tear you apart. And your friend too.
Which they did really well. The special effects to de-age them actually looked really good. I almost didn't realize it was a different scene until I saw Leslie Jones. But they explained it away by saying that Arsenio Hall's character hooked Akeem up with future baby mama, so he could get hooked up with her friend. But as Akeem recalls it, she tried, but he denied her. And for some reason, a boar came in and drove her away and started tackling him and stuff like that. That's how he remembers it, apparently. But what actually happened was that she smoked a joint, definitely laced with something strong, then forced herself on Akeem, blowing the smoke down his lungs, which then made him high, so high that he started hallucinating, out of his mind. And while he was just bonkers out of his mind, just on the couch, just doing nothing, she just straddles him and has her way with him, which resulted in her getting pregnant. I don't really need to say the problems with that scene, right? Like, it's played off for jokes, but it's really messed up. Like, I know a lot of people complain about Wonder Woman 84, even I did, kinda, about the whole Steve Trevor possessing another guy's body and him and Diana doing it, and how kind of weird that situation was. I can see how people can defend that. I still don't think there's any really good arguments for it. But I can see how you can defend it. You can't defend this. And they don't even brush it off like, hey, that's kind of messed up. They play it for laughs. I just felt like you could have done something better. You could have had it where he had a son with Lisa, but he had a daughter first. So technically she was his firstborn. Or just one of his daughters were way more prepared to be the ruler than his son. His son wanted to go on a different path. You could have done it like that. But having him have an illegitimate son that he conceived during intercourse that he pretty much unwillingly had, I just feel like you could have gone a different way. None of the jokes really pulled me in, had me gut wrenched. It was just really a basic comedy that you probably would see in January if the theaters were open. The film overall, the jokes were really flat in the end. Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, they had their good moments, but really they weren't even really the best parts of the film. Even the novelty really of just having the original cast, it's neat, it's nice to see them, but it added nothing to the film. Shoot, dang, James Earl Jones was gone within like the first 5 minutes of the film. He got his check and left. But in the end, it was just a meh movie. If you have Amazon Prime, it's free. You know, if you want to check it out, it won't hurt you. You know, you might enjoy it. But if you don't, this is not anything for you to pay for. You know, you'll live if you don't see Coming to America. But yeah, that's all I really had to say. This was just kind of, you know, thought, hey, I have time. Why don't I, you know, make a review for this real quick. I might do another review soon, maybe for a certain show that I infamously just love to hate on. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But if you watched it, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, share. Likes actually get my video noticed, so the more likes, the better. And until next time, take care.